So hi guys, my name is Caroline Bithe and this is Afya Leo GTV. And as a human being, we like to be healthy, that is mentally, physically and emotionally. And today we are glad to have a doctor. And before I go further into this, we're going to be discussing about TB. And I want her to introduce herself to you because I don't wanna give titles zenye aziko ama nikose kumpea titles zenye zinamfaa. So kindly introduce yourself to our viewers.
My name is Jane Dugere, nurse working in a government facility in Bere South. I'm glad to be with you and I'm glad to talk about Afya Yetu Leo.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome. Feel relaxed and help us understand more about TB. So, what is TB? Mtu akisikia TB, what is TB? Define TB to us.
TB is a disease. TB is an illness. It is an airborne disease.
Yes.
Caused by a mycobacterium. Therefore, what I'm saying is, it is caused by a bacteria. Yes.
So what is this bacteria that causes TB?
The name of the bacteria is called Mycobacterium bacilli.
Okay.
It is a clustered type of bacteria which causes TB and which is very specific for TB as an infection.
So this is what causes, makes TB different from a normal cough.
Yeah, because a normal cough, the causative organism for TB is that clustered Mycobacterium bacilli. And it is unique in such a way that it is, in its formulation, it is clustered together.
Okay.
And it is leather than the normal Streptococcus, so that its mode of infection is very different from other URTIs.
And at what stage is TB diagnosed? Because sometimes I can be coughing na ni ile cough mzito yenye nikikough na sina TB, but nikikough watu wanasema huyu mtu at what stage is TB diagnosed?
All right, that is a very good question. What we are doing today, everyone who comes with a cough in our facilities, we are taking the sputum. Every time anyone comes with a cough, before then, we were somebody who has coughed for more than 2 weeks, we were taking the sputum for microscopy or for diagnosis or for a checkup, what I would say with a layman's language.
Okay.
But nowadays, anybody who comes to the facility with a cough, which is productive, we are taking the sputum for microscopy.
Okay.
And we also take the sputum for GeneXpert.
Okay.
That is making the diagnosis. So we are trying to isolate the bacteria from the normal bacteria or a virus that causes any type of a cough. So that one makes the whole difference. So anyone with a cough for 2 weeks or more than 2 weeks, or anyone whom you come to contact with, we take the sputum for GeneXpert. That the further we have gone, and it is an advanced stage of diagnosis.
Okay.
Yes.
You have talked about isolating the TB patients. Why is it necessary for the TB patients to be isolated?
No, I didn't say we isolate the patient. We are not isolating the patients.
Okay.
We are isolating, we are making a differential diagnosis.
Okay.
Differential diagnosis from the normal cough. That's why we take the sputum so that it can be taken to the laboratory. We isolate these mycobacterium through through microscopy or GeneXpert.
Okay.
Those are types of diagnosis that we make, or we take them to the lab to make the diagnosis, to isolate the bacterium. Yes.
Yes, and as we were talking, you told me that there are 2 different types of TB. What are those 2 differences?
before we get to that, I think I would like to take you to signs and symptoms of TB.
TB.
Yes. And then, so that we can go to the two different types, or so that I can take you to the steps of the different types of TB.
TB.
Yes.
And expound on the differences.
Yes.
Okay, kindly.
So we have signs and symptoms of TB.
Yes.
As we are still on the stage of making diagnosis, because we are talking about the how do we differentiate TB from the normal cough. There are signs and symptoms which are clinical, which are clinically expounded, and that makes you even suspect TB. Because first and foremost, any patient who comes with a cough, just as I have told you, for more than 2 weeks, and she will tell you that she has been treated of URTI, upper respiratory tract infection.
Okay.
That is what we call URTI. That is the normal cough. Like you find that you've been coughing and you have gone to the dispensary, or you've gone to the health center, you have been given antibiotics, likes of amoxicillin, Septrin, all those types of drugs. Yet
Yes,
you're not
yes.
responding.
Yes.
You see, now those antibiotics, we give them for 5 days, or let me say 1 week, but you're not responding.
Yes.
And you come back actually still coughing, or probably it has gone down just a little bit. Then I find that you've taken the drugs, you have done away with the drugs, but it is not subsiding.
Yes.
I'll take another measure. That's what I'm telling you. I take the sputum.
Okay.
And also clinically, I'll ask you, how do you feel? You'll tell me that you have night sweats. That is when you sleep, you sweat a lot.
Yes.
That is one sign and symptom of TB. You are losing weight. You have nausea. You don't feel like eating. You feel you don't want to eat. So there is that cough for a duration of more than 2 weeks. You have night sweats. You have nausea. You feel you don't want to eat. There is wasting. You know, that one makes me suspect that you have TB. And therefore, I'll tell you to give me the sputum for microscopy. Sputum for microscopy is whereby you take your sputum spot. Spot means I'll take it when you come. Contact, the first contact, I take that sputum, and then I'll take another one.
Okay.
Later. And then after it is done, that one now plus the signs and symptoms will lead me to the diagnosis.
Okay.
Yes.
You talked about night sweats.
Yes.
But saa zingine tu ni joto ya usiku. So people should not assume.
Yes.
Ni kwa nini ikienda aje night sweats kama gani? Sababu naweza kuwa nimelala na kuna joto fulani hivi.
You know, mostly TB microorganism
Yes.
is active at night. When you sleep, most of the microorganisms are active at night. Let me say it in a layman's language. They eat well at night when you are asleep, when you are resting.
Yes.
So at that time, there is something like fever in your body.
Okay.
And therefore you sweat a lot. Therefore now that sweating plus other signs and symptoms will lead me to the clinical diagnosis.
Okay.
Then I tell you, go for sputum.
Okay, so she's telling us don't be sweating at night and you're assuming that ni joto ya kawaida. So this takes us to the two different types of TB. Kindly.
Okay, we have two types of main, let me say, TB can affect every part of the body. TB is a disease that affects every part of the body apart from the nails and the teeth and the ear.
It's not only the lungs?
No.
Okay.
TB can affect every part of the body.
Yes.
That's what we say. Apart from the nails and the teeth and the hair.
The dead cells.
Those parts.
Okay.
Any other part of the body, call it kidney, call it heart, call it brain, call it even skin. There is TB skin, there is TB adenoids, there is TB. Every part of the body can be affected by TB. It is such a shameless mycobacterium thing. So when we come to types of TB,
Yes.
we categorize them especially 2 types. There is pulmonary tuberculosis and we have extrapulmonary tuberculosis.
Okay.
Pulmonary tuberculosis affects the lungs, the pleural cavity of the lungs, and then from there we have extrapulmonary that affect any other part of the body. It can affect the brain, it can affect the abdomen, it can affect the urinary system, it can affect every part of the body. That is what we call extrapulmonary TB.
Okay.
Yes.
And what is the difference? The main difference?
The main difference of these two is that the pulmonary type of TB will affect the lungs, only the lungs,
Okay.
only the lungs. But extrapulmonary, it is outside the lungs, and therefore it will affect. That's what I'm telling you. It might affect brain. It can affect kidneys. It can affect heart. It can affect the skin. It can affect any part of the body.
Okay.
That is the whole difference. It can as well affect the adenoids.
Okay.
What we call Kikwetu, we call it ngae. It can affect any part of the body.
Okay.
And now because it can affect any other part of the body, how do we, the question poses here, how do we diagnose the extrapulmonary? Because this one we are taking the sputum because it is from the lungs.
Yes.
We are taking the sputum for microscopy or for gene expert, okay?
Yes.
How do we make the diagnosis for the other extrapulmonary?
Extrapulmonary.
I think that is a
Yes.
question any
Exactly.
listener or any viewer would like to know.
Yes.
Extrapulmonary TB, for example, we have the adenoids. We take a biopsy for histology. So we insert a needle. If I suspect it is TB, we insert a needle where there is that swelling.
Yes.
And we take the fluid in there.
Yes.
And we take for laboratory tests. And therefore we shall know whether it is TB, miliary, ama whatever we are calling extrapulmonary TB. So we take that fluid for histology.
Okay.
Yes.
And for the skin?
Still the same. We scrub the skin and we take the scrubs to the lab.
Okay. So, and there is something that people talk about mostly, that TB is inheritable. Is that true?
TB is not an inherited disease. No. TB is a communicable airborne disease. So that naweza kukupea, naweza kukupatia through cough, through droplets. You know, when I cough, that's why I started by saying it is an airborne. It is aerial. It is airborne. It is transmitted through droplets in the air. So how? Through sneezing, through laughing, through coughing, even talking, interacting. It can be affected through me exposing who is sick or who is infected, just releasing the droplets in the air. and they go to somebody else.
Okay.
Yes, that
So-
is the mode of transmission, the main mode of transmission, because that's why I've said it is airborne.
Okay. And is it true that TB patients should have their kama vyombo ati huyu sababu akona TB akona kikombe yake kwa nyumba, akona spoon na plate? Is it okay? Ni ukweli anaweza pea watu TB sababu ya kushare tu vyombo?
Okay.
Or is it just a myth?
Let me say, there are so many myths when we come to TB and HIV, and even many other diseases. TB disease, just as I have told you, it is airborne, and therefore, if at all in a family there is somebody who is having TB, and then we start treatment right now we start treatment, we give that person only 2 weeks. Within those 2 weeks, the mycobacterium will be futile. It can never be transmitted. It won't be in a position, yani it has gone, its power has gone down. It is not transmittable anymore. Okay. You can never get it anymore. So it is possible you can infect somebody else in the family if at all you've not started the treatment. That's why we have said there is something we call TB disease. TB disease, you can live with it when it is not yet diagnosed, and you continue transmitting to other people in the family. And especially depending with the lifestyle that you are living in, overcrowding, poverty in a poverty situation, overcrowding, poverty, poor ventilation, poor lighting, all those you can infect so quickly, it can spread so quickly to other people.
Can you expound more on the poverty
aspect of it?
Aspect, yes.
When I talk of poverty being an aspect in transmission, is that malnutrition sets in so quickly, because malnutrition in the family is very high. You don't have the proper diet that can curb the infection, so that when you eat well, your body is strong, and therefore the disease process is not very fast.
Okay.
Therefore, when we come to poverty, poor families, TB spread very quickly because they are not eating well. They don't have balanced diet.
Okay.
You know. So we tell people, when you know that you have TB, eat well. Okay. So that the body may curb the disease well. Yes. So the aspect of poverty goes with poor eating. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we are going for a short break. We'll be right back.